Okay, welcome to another episode of the greatest show in F1. I'm here with Kunle Williams and Johnny today. I never did learn Johnny's last name, but it's not important for now. So anyway, we're going to focus more on the Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is not only the cash cow for Ferrari, he's the cash cow for people who do podcasts like us, because there's always a
Yeah.
story. There's always a story. So former Italian great, old white Italian guy whose name is Arturo Mizzario. He keeps it real. He says that Lewis Hamilton was a money-making venture, commercial operation for Ferrari, and it wasn't about performance. According to him, 90% of the engineers did not even want Hamilton to come. That's what he's saying, okay? He's saying that they weren't really happy with the idea. And he also said that it feels like Ferrari has destroyed Hamilton. Now, I'm going to give him credit. He's not talking bad about Hamilton because he says that this is what he says about Hamilton. He said he may overreact. Why go crazy to gain 0.3 of a second while remaining in third row? He's talking about Q going out in Q2 and everything. But he's adamant that this is what he says about Hamilton. Hamilton just needs to find the right motivation to press on. He said that if Hamilton was in a car that could win, he'd be doing better, but he's down because he's in a useless car. And we all know that Hamilton doesn't do well in useless cars. But I think it's interesting that he's saying that 90% of the team did not want him to come. A lot of people have tried to refute that. The guy who runs the show, Tactical Rad F1, says no. Why would 90% of the team not want Hamilton? It would be an honor to work with a 7th championship. But we have to remember that that team was very, very close to. This is just my theory. They were very close to Sainz, and they were more upset about Sainz, who they built a relationship with, leaving to bring in this new guy. And I do think they might have felt that it was a little bit more of a media blitz, like him coming in with the black cape. So it doesn't mean that they hate Hamilton, but I could understand if 90% of the team say we've been doing well, especially the engineers. Sainz is known as someone that whatever team he goes to, the car gets better. So I wouldn't be surprised if the engineers were upset that Hamilton was coming in. It doesn't mean they hate Hamilton. It means that maybe they don't think it's the best move because he's older, and also because they're with Sainz and they have something. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it going on. So what do you think, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, well, I think that statement, that feeling, 90%, even that statement, 90% of the people didn't want for Hamilton, that would have come out either way. It would have been like, okay, let's say the car did well, and Hamilton did very well, and then it would be like, wow, and 90% of people didn't even want him to be here, but see, they like him now.
Yeah.
But now it's like the guy is done bad, he's done bad, and now it's like 90% of people didn't want him here anyway, that kind of thing. So it would have still come out
you're
either
damned
way.
if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah. So that's what I think. And then about when I was about Hamilton, what's that driver? What did that driver say again? He hit it on the nail. As in, if Hamilton, if the car was good, Hamilton it would have been nice, and it would have been a nice show.
And we all know that Hamilton drives well when the car is fast, but when the car is not fast, he drives worse. Yeah,
it's not. His
teammate when the car is not fast.
It's not about Hamilton's skills. It's not about his skills. That's for sure. I'm sure he still has it. Maybe it's not as sharp as before, but Hamilton is still a good driver. There.
And we have to remember, Hamilton may not have gotten slower, but these new kids that are coming out, they're just as talented. A lot of these guys are just as talented as he is. Verstappen is just as talented. So you got new boys coming in, and they're young, and they're used to these ground effect cars. But it's interesting. Let's go back to what they're saying, though, about... Oh, but wait, before we go to the next thing, what are your thoughts, Kunle?
Yeah, I think, the problem was that when Hamilton decided to leave Mercedes, it was actually a shock and a surprise to Mercedes. They weren't expecting it. It was completely out of the blue. Exactly. So that's why I think Ferrari were upset, because they didn't see it coming either. All they had was these two drivers, Leclerc and Sainz, and they were doing well. They were building slowly and they were making progress. Remember, Ferrari were doing very well with Sainz and Leclerc. They still, they hadn't changed the floor, they hadn't messed up the rear wing and all of that, and they were making progress. And it's possible that maybe if Sainz was in, I don't know how good the communication was between Sainz and Ferrari, whether he might have made a more accurate, maybe he might have assisted in stopping Ferrari from making those changes to the car, maybe. Or maybe they thought if we keep Sainz, we'll make minor changes. If we get Hamilton, we'll make big changes to try to make big strides or something like that. So it was a bit of a Hail Mary for Hamilton to move to Ferrari, and it looks like it's a Hail Mary that hasn't worked.
Now it's damn Mary, mother full of bullshit. Hail Mary, mother full of great. Let me stop before the Pope comes after me. Let me stop. But yeah, you're right. I think they took too many risks. Too many. And if you're going to bring in Hamilton, fine. Even that was a big risk. But please don't change 99% of the car in the last year. But and you had a point. And we have to remember, this is so annoying to me and so painful. Sainz was trying to work out his contract with Ferrari during that period. And they told Sainz, don't worry, we'll sign the contract. There's no need to sign it now. We'll sign it after the break. But it's a sure thing. And Sainz said that he felt that they just wanted to focus on racing. So he said, it's no big deal. And his mom and dad said, have you signed? He said, nah, we'll sign it later. It's not a big deal. Then the next day they call him and say, we signed Hamilton. That is dirty. Fucking dirty. I have no respect for Ferrari for that. I have no respect for them. At least Toto Wolff made it clear that I'm still looking at Verstappen when Russell was it. But Sainz said, when are we going to sign? And he wasn't worried. He said, don't worry, it's not a big deal. And Sainz said he was even happy because he doesn't care about money and those things. He just wanted to focus on racing. And then they told Sainz too late. So it was too late for him to call other teams and make good moves. What Ferrari did to him was dirty. What do you have to say, Johnny?
Yeah, well, that for sure, that's quite dirty and nasty from Ferrari, you know. I don't know.
And they'll do the same thing to Hamilton or Leclerc. That they're proving that they're very disloyal. Go ahead.
You know, and that's how business is. It's like, you know, dog eat dog. There's a cutthroat world out there. You know, everybody does.
For example, at least Toto Wolff, he didn't get rid of Hamilton. He said, "Okay, I can only give you 1+1." At least he was being truthful. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And that gave Hamilton the desire to go to Ferrari. And same thing with Russell. He said, "I'll give you 1+1." And he even promised Lewis Hamilton that as long as Hamilton's not on the team, he won't talk to Verstappen. But as soon as Hamilton said, "I quit," Toto Wolff said, "Good, now I can talk to Verstappen." Do you see what I'm saying? He had a little bit of honor. What do you think, John?
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, that's the mafia way. Actually, you know, they do what they do, and then they say what they say. They don't give a shit. They don't give a.
Tomorrow, he is so disgraceful. He is such a terrible person. Blah blah blah. What are your thoughts, Kule? Oh no, yeah. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, another funny thing about all of that that would probably have upset Ferrari is not only that Ferrari was set with a driver 1 and driver 2 car. When Hamilton came in, driver 2 left. So Ferrari was now with 2 drivers, and I don't care what you tell me, they were planning and hoping that Hamilton would become driver 1. So Leclerc, who was being groomed as driver 1, is suddenly now finding himself being driver 2. And I think that caused a bit of a disconnect, and the team probably felt, but this guy has been here. He's been our driver 1. We've been working with him. We need to focus on him. Hamilton is struggling to get the attention he thinks he's supposed to deserve as driver 1. And then there's this problem of communication and working together. So I do think that has also come in to affect Hamilton. I think that it might have actually been less of a problem if Leclerc had left and Hamilton had come in to be driver 1 to Sainz. It might have been less of a drama. But then for that to happen, Leclerc would have had to have already been like, I want to go somewhere else that's not Ferrari. I'm tired of this team. And as far as I'm concerned, I think anywhere for Leclerc after Ferrari is down. I think these are the best years of his life. I don't think it can get any better.
Yeah, I hope he can find his way to maybe to McLaren, get rid of one of those 2 drivers, bring it to McLaren. That would never happen. But you know what's funny? If you put Leclerc or even Verstappen, any of those guys behind the McLaren, they will win immediately. You know what it is? I don't think Leclerc and Verstappen have ever know what it's like. It's like driving a Rolls Royce. It's smooth. None of us will know what it feels like to drive that rocket ship known as McLaren's car. I have a feeling that car drives for you. It drives for you. In fact, I think Verstappen would retire. They said, this is not racing. This is autopilot. That car is fantastic. But I think McLaren likes those two guys because they're not hotheads like Leclerc and Verstappen. So they'll keep everything harmonious. You get my point? So I think that Piastri and Norris are the perfect for them because they're not superstars. They won't try to be the show. The car has to be the show, and also Zach Brown wants to be the show. What do you think, Mr. Johnny? Yeah,
I think it's for this very reason why there's no story about them.
About McLaren now. That should be
because that is the car is as in if the car is doing it, it's actually the car that's probably doing most of the driving and most of the winning. You know, the car. There's nothing spectacular about Norris and Piastri. You know, there's that anybody could have any of like we said any of those drivers could have been there. And
even Lawson could be challenging for the title if he was driving that
car. I'm not joking. It will be tested. That car is fantastic.
Antonelli would have probably been like the mega new superstar that just came out, the early bird that came out of the whatever, and he would have been the star. Like, wow.
But I promise you, if you even though I like Piastri's a good driver. If you put Piastri in a Ferrari now, or a Mercedes, or a Red Bull, the guy will struggle. He will be behind because that car corrects most of. You know what? For the McLaren cars, have you guys ever had certain types of pens you buy that are expensive, and no matter how bad your handwriting is, the handwriting looks perfect. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Johnny? There are certain types of pens that cost like $300, and when you hold it, even the ink, everything about it, that's how that McLaren car must be. It has balance and everything. What are your thoughts, Kunle?
Yeah, I think also the difference with McLaren and Red Bull cars are similar. The main difference is simply that McLaren is a Red Bull that's easy to handle. I think that's the best way to describe what McLaren is.
I think it's because of the grip and the tire. It has the same aerodynamics as Red Bull, but for some reason the tires don't degrade, and nobody knows what that secret is. Nobody knows what it is.
And it has the stability. It has the stability. It's easy to manage. It's Verstappen is always struggling with that car. And as good as he is, I've seen him almost lose that car on corners at high speed. Just catch it back.
It's the grip and the tire dig. That's the main thing.
Yes, and McLaren haven't had those kind of problems. So that's where I think that's the only reason Red Bull can compete is because it's so twitchy. If it wasn't so twitchy, McLaren
it would be destroying people because that's what it was before. It was twitchy. They were winning. Verstappen, that's 2023, winning by 20 seconds, 50 seconds. It wasn't even close. All right.